Hi everyone. So today I wanted to talk a little bit more about the symptoms and the outcomes of generational trauma, foundational wounding, and that wounding around home. So I think one of the most common outcomes and one that like really impacts us is our attachment style and kind of how we relate to other people, right? Because the first relationships that we come into contact with obviously are our family members, right? The people who raise us. And so when there's unhealthy bonds in your family and there's no balance there, that affects, your relationships with everyone else because a certain standard is set and you develop a sense of how things should be and you develop certain patterns for survival. And so you take those things and you use them in your interactions with other people. And so what ends up happening and what I found through my own experience and my own family system is that there's typically two outcomes, right? There is extreme codependence or extreme like individualism, right? Which are opposite ends of the spectrum and both unhealthy ways to live, right? You want to have balance, you want to be interdependent where you can, rely on yourself in certain ways, but you also understand what it means and how to rely on others. And yeah, what ends up happening is out of fear and survival and you know just getting beyond what you've been through, people tend to either become extremely codependent and completely like remove themselves from their own power and feel like they can't do anything on their own. They have to constantly rely on others. They're constantly looking for others to guide them and make decisions for them. They can't be in the driver's seat of their own lives. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the hyper independence, where I don't need anybody, I'm going to do all of this on my own. um, you know um, I can do it, I can get it done. And that's out of a sense of not, or feeling like you've never really had anybody, so you kind of had to always do everything on your own and make decisions and get stuff done. um and I have found myself that both can exist within one person, right? So it's not a situation where it's either or. Like for me, I have had moments of, um, feeling really codependent, like I can't do anything on my own, and, I really need somebody else to kind of like steer me, guide me, direct me. And then I think for the most part, I kind of lean toward the hyper independence, um, honestly, where, you know, I can figure it out. I can get things done. I don't need anybody to help me, which also breeds this sort of attitude of like running, right? Because if you don't need anybody and you can do everything on your own, then you can be separate. You don't have to be connected. And so it breeds this like both running and like isolation almost, where out of fear of having to endure and go through what you've gone through in the past with new people in your present, you just kind of, isolate, you stay to yourself. If conflict comes up, instead of, confronting it and moving through it and processing it and dealing with it, you walk away. You refuse to even like try to figure things out. And these are all habits that are born out of the trauma, are born out of the abuse. Um, we adapt so that we can survive. And that way of living, right, both of those extremes, will work for a while, right? You can do that and get through for a period, but you will arrive at a place where neither of them are going to work anymore. And not only are neither of them going to work anymore, but life is going to set you up in a way, right? So that you can heal, grow, and evolve. Life is going to set you up in a way where when you try and resort to either one, there will be blockages, there will be obstacles. You won't be able to, literally progress and survive using those methods anymore. And so it'll force you to evolve out of it and find balance, right? Find a way of being interdependent, meaning that you have within you all of the resources that you need to survive, make decisions for yourself, um, you know, get over challenges and obstacles while also having enough awareness and enough humility, right? Being humble enough to know that no man is an island and you absolutely positively need other people, right? We are a communal species and we need each other to survive. And so, yeah, it is, I think, important to be aware of those symptoms because I think those symptoms and like those traits can really cause a lot of chaos in our lives. It can cause chaos in our romantic relationships, within our job environments. Everywhere you go, there you are. And so, if that's the way that you're operating on a day-to-day basis, you carry that with you. You take that with you where you go. And so, yeah, being mindful of your attachment style, and your inner resources, I think, is extremely important to your healing process. Recognizing like what you weren't given as a child, as far as the tools that you need to survive and tap into your own power and be your own person, and taking the steps that are necessary to acquire those things, to go and get them so that you have them. The beautiful thing about life that I've experienced is, God knows what we need before we even know. And so, as I was kind of saying before, if you don't get to a place where you kind of realize that these problems exist and are looking for solutions, you will be positioned, right? Life is going to set you up so that you're given experiences to kind of wake you up to it, and you're also given experiences to evolve you out of it. I think that, depending on the person, some people wake up to those realities and see that for what it is sooner than others, right? There are people who, very early in life, they awaken to that and are able to take advantage of it and learn, grow, and evolve. And then I think there are also people who they don't see it. And so what ends up happening is, right, you kind of just exist in a cycle, and you'll go around and around and around until you figure it out, until you see it for what it is, and evolve out of it, so that you're not kind of just moving around in a circle anymore. And so yeah, I thought a lot about um that imbalance, because it's something that I've struggled with, and I know that in this particular season, the way that things are shaping up, um we're being forced to confront, you know, whatever doesn't serve us. And I can see that there are other people who are going through that in particular, where they're being forced to kind of stand on their own 2 feet, and tap into their own power and recognize their own power. And in order to do that, letting go of whatever ideas they might have had about themselves as far as what they're capable of, and then coming to certain realizations around the truth of who they are, and the truth of what they can do, and the truth of um, what you can learn, right? Even if you don't have it already. And so I hope this is helpful. I will be back with more.